I spend a lot of time just looking up random Pokemon information. Most of the time, it doesn't really go anywhere, but sometimes I just kind of stumble through databases until something clicks. This is where Soak Shedinja came from, Minimize, Baton Pass, Drifblim, and even something crazy like the Gravity Hypnosis. So I just really like looking at status moves, and then something occurred to me that with the Pokemon Bank and Z moves, like that is where the most potential lies, that status players are really loving some of the combos out there, and that is why I'm going to be looking into the Cresselia today. So I have my Cresselia here with Psychium Z, and I'm honestly interested in what this could possibly do as a Z move, because when you look at Lunar Dance, if you don't remember it or you've never seen it before, use their feints. In return, the Pokemon taking its place will have its status and hit points fully restored. So think about like Z Parting Shot or Z Memento, that it has that restoration effect, but Lunar Dance already does that. That's kind of a really interesting thought to think about. Also, it does work with the Oricorio Dancer, so that means like Oricorio would feint itself if there's a Cresselia that uses it. So let's go and get into a battle and use the Z move Lunar Dance and see what happens. Also, I'm just curious because I've never used a Z move that has no effect on a status. So I'm just going to see what ends up happening right now. I also feel like there could be a lot of potential for like the Z-Lunar Dance, for example. So yeah, it'll actually let us use the Z-Lunar Dance, which is kind of interesting. And we're just going to go and let this play out right here. So Cresselia, it's confused, and let's just go and watch the shenanigans unfold. Unless we actually hit ourselves in confusion. That'd be pretty ridiculous for the video. So, what does it say? Like, what is it going to do for the Z-Lunar Dance right now? Surrounds itself with Z power, unleashes its full force move, and it just goes straight for the Lunar Dance. So, it pretty much just accomplishes absolutely nothing, and then Cresselia feints, and now we can go into our new Pokemon, and I just have a Lugia right here. Also, we could run away from the battle. That'd be pretty interesting if you ran away while using a Z-Lunar Dance or something. But yeah, I can bring in my Pokemon, and now it's going to be fully restored and ready to battle some more. That animation was actually pretty sick. So yeah, when it comes to Z moves, we know everything about them, and unfortunately, there's just some status moves that don't have any kind of Z effect. Or we also have these right here with the reset stats. Feels kind of like a cop-out on Game Freak's part to take all of these crazy awesome moves and just kind of bunch them all together and just resetting stats. It can be useful, but I just see it being very niche and kind of Game Freak saying, no, we're not making any of these more powerful. Like, imagine if you got +2 attack, +1 speed on a Dragon Dance. So Dragon Dance added a +1 attack to it. That'd be a little scary. Same with the Quiver Dance or anything from here. That you protect and you gain stats. That you use Leech Seed, Minimize, and you gain stats. I was hoping more than anything that Minimize or even like a double team or something would give you +1 more to the evasion. I would gladly use my Z move that you only get to use once per battle, sacrificing the item on your Pokemon just so I could +3 evasion in one turn. So a lot of that potential was wasted. I feel that the same thing happened with the Cresselia that restores replacement's hit points. Now, true Lunar Dance does also clear up for the status, and that is not what we get out of the Memento and the Parting Shot, but there's like nothing extra that we could have done out of it. So maybe Lunar Dance could have done something else. Like maybe it has like a Baton Pass effect. That would have been the coolest idea, and maybe there's going to be some other really nice effects for Z moves in future generations. Seriously though, if there's anyone from like Game Freak or the Pokemon Company watching, I think there is a lot of opportunity to maybe pull some of these moves out and then make them more usable, because I like Z status moves more than Z moves. I don't know if that's Game Freak's intentions, but I really, like, it was really fascinating to see if there was anything to be discovered, and there are a couple of things, like Z Hypnosis is really broken, that a lot of Pokemon that want that +1 speed, like the Xurkitree, get it, and then they can put their opponent to sleep, which means a free KO right there. So there's some really scary ones. Magic Code special defense boosting, yeah, that's all good. The one that really got me was that restoring hit points on something like the stockpile. So there's some very big power plays. There's a lot of opportunity to gain some crazy stats right there, and I think some of the other ones were kind of cut down. So maybe making a bit more dynamic on the Z moves could get a bit more respect. But it comes to Lunar Dance, and maybe some other moves potentially give it a Baton Pass effect. Because Cresselia has that opportunity to Calm Mind. Maybe it could also become a part of a Baton Pass chain then, if you could Z-Lunar Dance and then heal up another Pokemon, that you have the other Pokemon that's Baton Passing, that, you know, it's statting up, it takes too much damage, so Baton passes into Cresselia to save the stats, and then Cresselia can put the stats back into that Pokemon, while also giving it hit points and status. But remember, you're causing your Cresselia to faint, and you're using your one and only Z move. I also just noticed that Baton Pass isn't a part of the Memento Parting Shot healing replacement Pokemon's thing that actually has reset stats. Why? You might as well just make it not even have a Z effect at that rate. So you're giving up a lot of power just to try to refresh something. So maybe thinking outside the box could be something cool. Like, I really like that they gave Center of Attention. I really like that they had full hit point restoration, replacement hit points. So there were some other crazy things going on. Boosting all stats for a couple of exclusive moves. Boosting all stats for a couple of exclusive moves was pretty crazy as well. But I think they could have gone more. There's not enough evasion boosting. There's not enough for, like, crazy hard stats. I see the splash for +3 attack. That's pretty cool. That's pretty gimmicky. There's nothing for +2 defense when there's a couple of things for the +2 on the special defense. And I think that there could be a bit more usability overall. But now let's talk about the Cresselia and go even deeper into the Cresselia, because this is how my mind works. I look for pieces, I look for bits, and then maybe something just comes out of it while being super broken, because we have Psycho Shift. Boost your special attack by 2. Now, Cresselia is a very bulky Pokemon, but it getting a free +2 is also very nice, and also being able to distribute status around is pretty crazy as well. I think that people used to tech that back in the day. I've seen it quite a few times, so it is like a really interesting thing. I feel that Z-moves should be that very niche level of play, but just upgraded to some kind of crazy extent. And also, interestingly enough, on the battle spot, we got 0.3% of Cresselia running that Psyche MZ, so there's people running things. That's what you gotta look for. You gotta look for those random Pokemon that are running those random things. I'm actually wondering how many are actually running. Yeah, like, Pokemon are picking up the Z moves in some way, whether it's offensively or status, but that kind of leads to some of the really cool options. Ferrothorn, unfortunately, like, its biggest play is going to be off that Leech Seed, and since Leech Seed kind of got screwed over with the stat reset, I don't see that working. But if Leech Seed gave something else, that makes these Pokemon a little bit scarier, but also giving up, like, the biggest power play option that they have. So that's kind of what we're doing. We're just kind of looking around, seeing what we can do. Mist. What does Mist do? Well, it restores hit points. Well, unfortunately, we already have the Moonlight. This is also how it transitions to other Pokemon. This is kind of how I just go and acquire random bits of knowledge. That, okay, this restores hit points, so you're thinking, what Pokemon lacks Sustain, but get access to one of the Z moves that restores hit points? That's when I go back here. It's like, wait, what about the other ones that restore hit points? Aromatherapy. So you can restore your own hit points, and then Cleric for the team. We've already talked about Belly Drum. I don't think Conversion 2 is as big because we have recover options right there. Heal Bell, Mist, Psych Up, Refresh, Spite, Stockpile, Teleport, and Transform. So it seems like Stockpile is probably the best option of all of those. We still have some really interesting ones like the Psych Up. So you go to full health, and then you copy stats, and now you're a fresh Pokemon with all kinds of craziness running around. So yeah, it's one of those things where, like, you can look and you can maybe find one move or so out of all of these that's super broken. Like, when it comes to speed, Hypnosis is one of those ones that's like, holy crap. Same with, like, the Sleep Powder, has better accuracy and stuff like that. But then we start getting deeper and deeper into it. It's like, what am I really going to use other than that? Quash to gain speed, roleplay, Safeguard, Sandstorm, Scary Face. Scary Face, like, some of these also do really weird things. Like, we can look at something like the Will-O-Wisp. The Will-O-Wisp is going to boost your attack by 1 stage, but it's also going to cut your opponent's attack because that's how burn works. So, should that have been how it is? Maybe we should have gained, like, plus defense and then get even bulkier against that Pokemon, because Will-O-Wisp is more used as, like, a status kind of crippling move on the opponent instead of something that's purely offensive, especially with the nerf to burn. So maybe also Game Freak, you know, not making it super broken, because then we get a Will-O-Wisp Pokemon like Rotom, it picks it up, and it gets a free defense boost. That's really scary to think about. Or maybe giving a special defense boost. That way you're cutting your opponent's attack, giving you a special defense. So I feel like some of these were kind of wasted, but still have, like, slight bits of usability. That they're not like, okay, you must use this Z move and it's going to be super broken all the time. You'll still get caught off guard, like, oh, someone just brings out a random Z move, gains a little bit of extra stats, and then things get pretty crazy. But also at the same time, there's ones that are just, like, ridiculous. Like, +2 attack on the Mirror move. Sure, not a lot of Pokemon get the Mirror move. Actually, a lot more Pokemon I expected get the Mirror move. And then it turns out, oh yeah, Staraptor just goes and wrecks with it. Swellow, you get +2 attack on a 125 speed Pokemon, and then it copies the move and then does that move for the damage as well. So we get a lot of really, like, crazy things happening. I think Dodrio, like the Z Mirror move Dodrio, I'm surprised I haven't seen more of that, because it seems like it should be a powerful enough Pokemon to have some respect behind it. And that's kind of it. So I just kind of scroll around and look through all of these things. So I'm wondering if there was a lot of wasted potential for a lot of these moves. I feel like with these exclusives, we could have seen more of something like the Lunar Dance. Lunar Dance is the ultimate sacrifice. It's this crazy move, and it could have been really cool for the Z move, but it does nothing, and it doesn't give you any kind of benefit, and then Memento Parting Shot kind of outclass it for that Z spectrum. So we have some interesting things to look into, maybe just to keep up with as Pokemon moves forward. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is one of those different, weird kind of videos I put out every 2 weeks or so, where it's more just like an outside look at what the game could be, or all of the ways that these mechanics can interact, instead of just straightforward looking at the game. I think this is very comparable to my Minior versus Pyukumuku video, also just kind of looking at the best, most optimal ways of running the Aegislash and the Mimikyu, and running Pokemon in those kinds of ways. So I like giving these kind of thought experiment, critical weirdness things going on. So it is hypothetical to a degree, but maybe we'll see some change based off of this kind of brainstorming and discussion. That could be a pretty cool thing. I want to see more evasion, as always, because, like, what are you going to do with any of this? Sand attack, smokescreen, kind of. But the thing is, it's for you, that if you're trying to knock down your opponent, if you hit them with 4 sand attacks and then KO them, you have to hit your next opponent with 4 sand attacks and then KO them, instead of just getting 4 double teams and then being good to go. So some of these kind of work. Actually, evasion detect. That's disgusting. Why is no one running that? Oh. See, like, protect kind of gets screwed over with the stat reset, and then detect. What Pokemon get detect? Because that might actually be something to look into then. So there we go, guys. That's it for the Cresselia. Just talking about Z moves and whatnot. Some of these could work. Some of these could maybe not work. Like, we have Reflect and Light Screen. So you could Z Reflect and then gain an extra point to your defense or something like that. You can just kind of add to the coverage. Maybe Psych Up. If you have a Psych Up strat, give yourself some full hit. Nah, I don't think that that's worth it, honestly. So yeah, we have some potential here that was wasted, but could also maybe turn around and still find some use. Yeah, if someone brings like a Z Reflect or a Z Light Screen at some point, that could get pretty interesting. I think that's all we have to say about it. So you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.